Hey guys, so my name is Gabby and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you all are new here, I have plans to thru-hike the Appalachian Trail in 2023. In today's video, I thought it would be fun to share with you guys what a thru-hiker wears basically for 6 months straight. I really struggle when it comes to picking out clothes for a thru-hike, so if you're anything like me, hopefully this video can help you. I've spent a lot of time thinking about what I really want to wear on the trail this year, because last year when I hiked 700 miles of the Appalachian Trail, I didn't really feel like my clothing did the best job at keeping me warm, dry, and comfortable. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into it. We'll start by talking about the clothing that I'll be wearing when I'm actually hiking during the day. So for those of you who don't know, most Appalachian Trail thru-hikers have two outfits with them. The first outfit is for hiking, and then the second outfit is for sleeping. When you hike during the day, you're likely to get wet and muddy. Sleeping in wet and muddy clothes can, for one, get your sleeping bag and your sleeping pad all nasty, and then secondly, it's really dangerous. When it's cold outside and you go to sleep with your wet clothes on, you're a lot more likely to get hypothermia than if you were warm and dry. But let's start by looking at my hiking clothes. So the first thing is this smart wool t-shirt. And some of you may remember, but I wore this t-shirt on the Appalachian Trail last year, and I think I picked this t-shirt up maybe right after Hot Springs, I'm not entirely sure. So smart wool makes merino wool clothing, and the benefit of having this type of material over like a synthetic, and you definitely don't want cotton, is that this material dries really fast and it also doesn't hold in any smells. Last year I started hiking in a synthetic t-shirt, and that's good for hiking. It dries really fast and it helps keep you cool as well. But it smelled so bad after like 200 miles of being on the trail. And it got to the point where when I washed it, it still smelled bad, and honestly that's not like a deal breaker, but it kind of drove me crazy. So this smart wool t-shirt was around $75, I do believe, so really expensive. Whereas you probably have a synthetic shirt laying around at home, or you can pick one up for probably around $20. In my opinion, if you're going to be wearing a shirt basically every day, it's worth it, but I understand if you're on a tight budget, maybe going with a synthetic shirt instead of a merino wool shirt. Okay, so next we will talk about hiking pants. And I'm not gonna lie, this is where I struggle the most to choose what I'm gonna wear, and it may end up changing before I get on trail. So these are my REI brand hiking pants. They're really nice because they're a really thin and comfortable material, and they're also water resistant, so they should do an okay job at repelling water on the trail. They're a pretty affordable pair of pants. I want to say that I got them on sale during the Black Friday time, maybe for around $30. My only problem with them is they are a little bit too big on my waist, so I might try to configure some type of little belt or something just to hold them up. But yeah, I might wear these pants. I might not. I have a couple other pairs of hiking pants. I also have some REI brand rain pants, so I may end up wearing those instead. But I'm not really sure how I feel about the whole rain pants ordeal because they're a little bit more bulky and they're really just not as comfortable. So yeah, these are a maybe, but I will say that I do want to start in pants because it's going to be pretty cold in the spring. And I much prefer hiking in shorts. I'll definitely switch once the weather warms up, but in the cold months I like having that extra protection on my legs, and I just don't want to be cold and wet basically. So because I'm starting in the spring, and like I said, I expect it to be cold, under my hiking pants I plan on wearing these REI base layer pants. These pants are really thin and they're also really soft and comfortable. Definitely recommend them. This is another thing that I got on sale for REI, and I think they were only like $18 or $19. And they just give me a little bit more peace of mind knowing that even when the temperatures drop, I can stay warm. I also can add these to my sleep clothes system if I need to. But yeah, and this is something that I did not bring with me last year. I basically only wear hiking pants with no base layer under them, and I was pretty cold. So next we will move on to socks. I'm a huge fan of Darn Tough socks, as is a lot of other people on the Appalachian Trail. These are wool socks, so they're really warm. They do a pretty good job at protecting your feet from blisters, and like the wool shirt, they also don't smell after you've been wearing them for several days. So most people on the Appalachian Trail always hike with 3 pairs of Darn Tough socks, but last year I used 2 pairs and 2 pairs worked just fine for me, so I'll probably stick with that method. And one of the pairs will be for sleeping, which are these ones, and then the other ones will be for hiking, which are these ones. It probably sounds crazy, but I'm okay with hiking in wet socks. I find that either it's going to be raining, so my feet are going to end up wet anyways, or it's going to be dry and having the wet socks on my feet will dry them out quicker. So yeah, 2 pairs of socks for me. A lot of people do 3 pairs, but that's something that's pretty easy to adjust while you're on the trail. Last year when I was on the Appalachian Trail, I developed some really nasty blisters in the beginning. And when I made it to Neil Gap, I ended up picking up these Injinji sock liners. These are toe socks, so there's little cutouts for each of your toes, and this basically just prevents your toes from rubbing together and creating friction. As you can see, this pair, I've pretty much worn through them. I got holes in the bottom on both socks, so I definitely won't be wearing these on the trail next year. I have different shoes now, so if I end up having that problem again, I'll probably pick up another pair at Neil Gap. While we're talking about feet and blisters, let's go ahead and talk about shoes. I think finding the perfect pair of shoes is really hard, and what works for somebody is not going to work for somebody else. So I have a really bad habit of walking on the outside of my foot, and I'll actually show you guys that on an old pair of my hiking shoes in just a second. But basically that can cause foot, ankle, hip problems, which I'm thinking might have something to do with my hip injury last year. So here are my Hoka Speed Goats. These are what I started the trail in last year. I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to see it on camera or not, but the lugs on the outside of the foot are definitely a lot more worn than the lugs on the inside. I really loved these shoes. I loved like how cushioned they are. They're super comfortable. But honestly, they did some really weird things to my feet. So I had that really horrible blister on my toe that I talked about. I had a couple other blisters on other toes. And then also these shoes just had the pads in my feet feeling really weird. So great shoe, but for me did not work. The other pair of shoes that I picked up and hiked in are the Brooks Cascadias. So I wore these shoes for 500 miles on the AT and pretty much all summer, and they held up really well. So if you're looking for a durable pair of shoes, definitely recommend. My biggest problem with this shoe is something about it gave me Achilles pain and swelling, and I'll insert a picture of that here. But that was really only when I first started wearing the shoes. I'm also not sure if these shoes had anything to do with my hip pain or not, but besides those factors, I really liked these shoes and I would definitely consider wearing them again on the trail next year. So for this year on the trail, I plan to start in these Topo Mountain Racers. I've had these shoes for about 2 months now, just been wearing them around here, hiking in them, and so far I really do like them. I love that they have a really wide toe box, so there's plenty of room for my toes to spread out. They also have really good Vibram tread, so apologize for how dirty it is right now, but this tread is super sticky. And overall, this is just a really comfortable shoe on my foot. But in my opinion, it's really hard to tell with shoes until you're actually out there hiking every single day, so we will see what happens. So next we'll talk about underwear. So first of all, just a sports bra, so $15, TJ Maxx does the job pretty well. Secondly is underwear. So last year on the trail, I carried 2 pairs of Ex Officio underwear, which is super great underwear. They worked perfectly. I'll use them again this year, but I am adding another pair, and these are REI brand. But there were so many times when I wanted 3 pairs of underwear instead of 2, and they weigh nothing, so yeah. Next we'll talk about gloves. So I got these possum gloves from Z-Packs. Unfortunately, they are a little bit too big for me, but not too bad. They're supposed to be super warm, and they're also really light, so it doesn't add a ton of extra weight when you're carrying them. And because these can get wet, I also ordered some rain mitts. I think these are also from Z-Packs. Let me see. Yep, they are. So there you go. They basically just go over your hands to keep your gloves warm and dry. And that way when you end up at camp after a long day of rain and it's cold, you can still wear your gloves without worrying about them being wet. So That was a problem I ran into a lot last year. Next is my buff. So I pretty much wore a buff almost every day on the trail last year. And I put that buff through the ringer. I still have it, but I decided to get a new one. So here's my buff for next year. You can use a buff to put around your head and basically keep your hair out of your face. Or you can use it on your neck and on your face when it's really cold outside. And I've also seen that some people put their buff over their face when they're sleeping and it's really cold outside. So when you're like in your tent and it's 20 degrees, it's really tempting to put your face down in your sleeping bag, but you don't want to create a condensation issue. So wearing this on your face probably will help keep it warm. Haven't tried it, but I'm definitely going to. All right, sleep clothes. Let's move on to that. So here's my sleep shirt. I wore this on the Appalachian Trail last year and I think it did a great job. Like a lot of my other clothes, it is REI brand. I think I also got this shirt on sale, probably for around $20. And this is a mid-weight sleep shirt, so it's kind of thick. It's probably a little heavier than some other options, but I think it's really comfortable and I like sleeping in it. Now, last year on the Appalachian Trail, I always felt like I was able to keep my upper body pretty warm and toasty, but my lower body was always really cold. So this year I decided to go all out and I invested in the Enlightened Equipment Torrid pants. I want to say I got these pants on sale for around $120, so not the cheapest thing out there. But as you can see, they are insulated. So this is a synthetic insulation, not down. One really cool thing about these pants is that you can custom order it. So I got these pants in gray on the outside and purple on the inside. Honestly, looking back on it now, I'm not sure why I chose these colors because I don't know. I mean, I guess that kind of matches, but oh well. Unfortunately, I did order these pants a little bit too small for me. They still fit, but definitely snug. So consider that before you order some custom pants from them. But yeah, these pants, they weigh, I think, a little bit over 5 ounces. So they're really light. They're gonna keep me warm and I'm really excited to use them. The only downside is that they are kind of bulky. So if you are really low on pack space, then these might not be the best, but I think my backpack is plenty big enough to carry these. In addition to the pants, I also ordered Enlightened Equipment's insulated booties. So there was a couple times at night when I had cold feet, and I haven't tested these out yet, but I've heard really great things, so hopefully they keep my feet nice and toasty. And I already mentioned the Darn Tough socks that I'd be wearing for sleep, so basically I'll put those socks on and then I'll put my foot in these and I should be nice and warm. The only bad thing about these booties is that they have no sole on them at all, so you really can't walk. This is one of those things that you put on your feet once you're already in your tent and your sleeping bag and you don't plan on getting back out. If you do need to get out of your tent in the middle of the night, then you do have to take them off. These weigh around 2 ounces, so basically nothing. So last but definitely not least for my clothing is my jackets. So this is a Appalachian Gear Company hoodie. I got this hoodie for my birthday last year and I basically haven't taken it off since I bought it. I've also never washed it because, like wool, alpaca doesn't really hold smells. But I do think it's time for a wash because it's definitely collected some cat hair. But yeah, super excited to wear this on trail next year. It has a hood. It's also supposed to be really insulating when wet, so should be nice. I have a feeling this might be one of my favorite pieces of gear for next year, so highly recommend it if you're looking for a good mid-layer. Next is my rain jacket. So I'm still rocking the old Frog Togs rain jacket. So last year on the AT, I had a blue one of these. Absolutely loved it. I didn't have any problems with it the whole time. It didn't rip. The only reason why I still don't have it is because I accidentally left it at the Travel Inn in Marion, Virginia. But these are great. They're good for the wind, and of course they do wet out at a certain point, so it's not going to keep you completely dry. But they do keep you really warm because basically they don't breathe at all. There were also a few times where I basically just used this Frog Togs as a sit pad. And I also really liked tying it around my waist and wearing it when I had to go to the bathroom on the trail. That way I didn't have to go that far off the trail, but also nobody could see me because this was around my waist. But yeah, there's a lot of debate about frog togs. A lot of people don't like them. I personally do like them, but everyone's entitled to their own opinion on that. So lastly is my puffy jacket. So this is the Enlightened Equipment Torrid Apex jacket, I do believe is what it's called. I'll add a correction if I'm wrong. But this jacket is really light, it's really warm, and it's also synthetic insulation instead of down. So last year on the trail, I used a 650 down jacket from REI. It didn't have a hood, and I ended up super cold on the trail. I knew that this year I needed something better, but when I was looking at down jackets online, they were honestly just way too expensive, and then I came across this jacket. So I actually also got this jacket on sale, always looking for good deals. I got it from the warehouse section of their website, so if you're interested in Enlightened Equipment, but you're kind of on a budget, I definitely recommend checking that out. Unfortunately, this jacket did come with a little patch, so this was a manufacturing error, but I did get a decent percentage off this jacket, and I think it normally costs $180, and I want to say I got it for probably around $110, $120-ish. One of the best things about this jacket in comparison to a down jacket is because it's synthetic, if you want to wear this jacket in the rain, you can, and you don't have to worry about losing warmth or messing up the down. Well guys, I think that's everything, and I hope that this video was helpful. Keep in mind that everyone's preferences for clothing will be different. When planning your Appalachian Trail Thru-Hike, just make sure you look for clothing that is comfortable, keeps you safe, and is warm. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!